Guys, they are finally here. The Beacn Mic, the Beacn Mix, and the Beacn Mix Create have officially been released. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at each one of these brand new audio products for streamers and content creators. We're going to be talking about what they do, how they work together, and if you should be thinking about adding one of these new products or all of them to your setup. Now, before we jump in and take a look at each one of these products, I want to say a massive thank you to the sponsor of this video, Placeit.net. Placeit has thousands of mockups and templates for stream overlays, Twitch panels, logos, merch, YouTube end screens, animations, and so much more. Once you find the template you're looking for, you can customize colors, text, and other elements to make the perfect design creation. After that, download it and it's completely yours to use however you want with full commercial license. Instead of spending hundreds of dollars on design work, you can purchase a monthly or yearly subscription to Placeit and get unlimited downloads. Just use my 15% off discount link in the description below. As always, a massive thank you to Placeit for sponsoring this video and this channel. If you want to check out Placeit, make sure you click that link in the description of this video to save that 15% off. But with that being said, let's talk about each one of these products and what all they can do. And we're going to start with the Beacn Mic, and that's what I've been talking into right here. As you can tell, and you can hear the audio from the Beacn Mic through this video. Now, the simple fact of the matter is this is one of the most advanced USB microphones that actually is on the XLR microphone level and has a bunch of stuff packed into it. So basically you're getting an entire studio in a tiny little microphone. Now, as you can tell from the design of the mic, it is a dynamic microphone, but this microphone, not only being a dynamic microphone, which will cut out a lot of the surrounding noise and focus on your voice, it actually has real-time adaptive noise suppression built into the mic itself, which we'll talk about more here in just a minute. We're also taking a look at the Beacn Mix, and you can see the Beacn Mix, this little guy right here, is very sleek, compact, fits on your desk, doesn't take up a lot of space, and you can tell that it's very simple. 4 knobs at the bottom. Each knob not only turns, but also presses in to mute and presses to unmute, and if you long press the knob, it'll actually switch between the devices you're listening from. So we'll talk about that here in just a minute, but basically you can switch from your headphones to a set of speakers just by holding in one of these knobs for like 2 seconds. And then of course the Beacn Mix Create, which is the big brother of the Beacn Mix, and it is basically the exact same thing as far as functionality, but it's got a couple of added features. One, you'll notice that you have 2 scrolling knobs here to scroll between different pages of the different audio inputs. You've got a button down here which will switch between your mix and your audience's mix, because there are submixes with the Beacn Mix Create. And then extra buttons down here, which are actually the mute buttons for these knobs. These knobs, if you long press them, will switch between headphones and of course a pair of speakers, but if you press the button here, this is what mutes and unmutes each track. So a little added feature down here, and plus they turn red whenever you click them, so you can tell very quickly whether or not you are muted or if you still need to mute, that sort of thing. So anyway, Beacn Mix Create, Beacn Mix, and Beacn Mic. We're going to look at all 3 of them. Let's start with the Beacn Mic though. The Beacn Mic is made out of all metal construction. Everything on this mic is metal except for the knobs here that tighten and loosen the actual swivel adjustment. But I will tell you this, the knobs are made out of a very tough plastic and they feel really good. I actually couldn't tell whether they were metal or not in the beginning when I was trying to take a look at them. So you've got all metal construction. You've got a windscreen / pop filter here at the top, which basically will cut out some of the plosives from your mouth. And then underneath that pop filter, that windscreen, there is an all metal capsule cage which supports the pop filter but also protects the capsule for your microphone. On the bottom of the microphone you have a USB Type-C output and a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, and so these are very easily accessible in the back of the microphone, and there is a routing cable spot on the arm of the microphone, which allows you to pull the cords from the back of the mic under the mic and attach them to that so that it keeps them out of the way. In addition to that, this mic has an awesome easy mount feature where basically this bottom ribbed thread right here can screw onto any microphone arm that you would use for a microphone like this without having to turn your microphone constantly as you're screwing it onto your tripod or your boom arm. So you can basically just screw that onto your boom arm, and then this top ring is what you use to cinch down the mic and keep it in place. It's a very ingenious mounting system and I absolutely love it. I wish all mics would do this because it's so much easier and so much more convenient than sitting there and spinning a big chunky microphone over and over and over again trying to get it on your boom arm, or if you need to remove it, doing it again backwards, right? So love that feature. The mic is very well built. It's heavy in the hand, but not too heavy. It feels very solid and just very well constructed. You'll also notice this RGB LED ring around the microphone, which is very tastefully placed there. Beacn did a fantastic and masterful job at adding RGB LEDs to this microphone without making it look too crazy or over the top. I actually talked to Beacn about this and they told me that they went through a ton of iterations on this ring itself to make sure that it looked fantastic. You don't see little light bulbs in there. It's one solid diffused ring of color, which looks beautiful. And because of all the work they put into this ring, it just goes to show the attention to detail that Beacn has for their products. So kudos to Beacn. I'll also tell you that on the top of the microphone, they have a very tasteful stealth black Beacn logo. A lot of times mics and other peripherals for your stream setup will have big old chunky logos with crazy colors or crazy designs right in your face, but Beacn has gone the tasteful route and just put that stealth black logo on there so you know it's a Beacn product, but it doesn't have to be in your face or change the entire setup in your room. And so thank you for that as well, Beacn, because that is a very tasteful way to do branding. Now, I've done a complete unboxing of this microphone plus the Beacn Mix and Mix Create. Check out the card at the top of this video to see that full unboxing, but I will tell you the Beacn mic does come with a USB Type-C cable to USB Type-C for your computer. They also give you a little USB Type-C to USB Type-A adapter in case you don't have a USB Type-C port on your computer, and you also get an aux cable extension so you can get up and move around and not be just like attached to the microphone at all times. Very, very cool and awesome that they included that in the box. This video is going to end up being extremely long if we don't jump in and take a look at the software now. There's so much to talk about with these products, but I'm going to try to make it as short as possible. So here we are in the Beacn app, and you'll notice over here on the left-hand side, I actually have 3 different things that have popped up. That's because I have the Beacn Mic, the Beacn Mix, and the Beacn Mix Create all plugged into my computer. And then you'll notice these round circles here, and these basically show you what products you have connected. This is the microphone, this is the Beacn Mix, and this is the Beacn Mix Create. Pretty simple. If you click on whichever one you're looking at, it's going to do a drop down here and show you the different options available for whichever one you're using. So we're going to start with the Beacn microphone and take a look at this. This thing is crazy. They not only have an 8-band equalizer here, but if you come down here and you turn on, normally it's like this, it looks like this. If you come down here and turn on advanced EQ, it's going to give you an 8-band equalizer. And then when you turn on this guide feature, you see what pops up in the back here? This shows you basically where the normal frequency range is for each one of these things. So your broadcast frequency range is kind of right in here. More nasally ranges are here. You get the picture, right? So they've given you this really cool guide to help make it a little easier to figure out what frequencies you need to be adjusting when you're trying to equalize your microphone. You actually have different waveforms that you can select. So whenever you click on one of these dots, it'll show you the frequency, the gain that it's set at, and your Q, right? And then down here, you can select what the waveform pattern in that area is going to look like. So if I was to change this to something like this, it would dip down and make it sound weird. Anyway, very cool 8-band equalizer. If you need to add more bands, you click add band and it will put one on here. And then if you want to delete a band, let's say we add one here. If we want to delete that band and we don't want it anymore, we hit the little minus sign and it takes it away. Underneath that, you've got, of course, your de-esser. So this is going to allow you to de-ess some of the sibilance sounds in your voice. Next to that, there's a bass enhance. So you can actually enhance the bass. And if I was to take this and turn it all the way up, it would add a bunch of extra bass to my voice, which we don't actually need. but they also have 4 different versions of it, so you can fine tune what it does. And then right next to this, you've got an exciter. And what this does is it basically brings back some of the sizzle to your voice after you de-ess your voice. So the mic has a bunch of basically mic chain studio features all built into the microphone through this module. The other thing we're gonna look at is we go over here to the mic setup tab, you're gonna see that this is where you set up the gain for your microphone itself, which you're actually gonna wanna go ahead and do this first before you do all of the features up here, but we're just kind of going in order of the way they're set up in the app. So first of all, you've got your mic gain, and they've got this really cool real-time chart that's constantly flowing, and it will show you where the level of your voice is in accordance with where your gain is set. So you'll notice that I have my mic gain set to 9, and that's getting me right here in this awesome area, this blue area, which is your speaking area. Because this is real time, it shows you when you hit those peaks into the yellow, and as long as you're getting in there every once in a while, that's okay, right? And so you can see I'm staying pretty much in the speaking range. And this is an easy way to set up your mic's gain here, and a really, really cool way to visualize it over here. Next to that, you have a noise suppression tab, which is actually the adaptive real-time noise suppression we talked about. And it's really cool how this works. Look how this works. If I turn this all the way up to 100% here, and then I get quiet for a minute, watch what happens. You see how that yellow line showed up? I'm gonna turn this back down to 80, but you see how that yellow line showed up and then it readjusted this floor to the actual noise level in my room? That is what the real-time adaptive noise suppression is doing. It's listening to the background noise for a second. It's saying, okay, I hear a new type of noise, so now we're gonna readjust our noise floor to help basically suppress some of that noise. So if you have a bunch of fans on your computer, an air conditioner, or something like that, right? It's going to start cutting that out, and in real time, it's constantly adjusting if you're using the adaptive setting. If you're in a more controlled environment, they also have a cool snapshot feature where you can turn this on, and it basically will take a snapshot of the sound in your room. It'll adjust to that level, and it will stay there as your noise suppression. So 2 very cool features. This is massive because this all takes place within the microphone. And so Beacn has set this microphone up to have the real-time adaptive noise suppression always going through your mic and not through your computer, which means you're not using up processing power on your computer, but also if you unplug this microphone from the computer that you're using to set up the mic, with the program, and you plug it into another computer, it's still gonna have the real-time and adaptive noise suppression and all of your equalization settings saved to the microphone. So you can use it with any other computer you want to. You don't even have to have the Beacn app to get all of these settings back. It's already saved on there, and that's what's going to be loaded into any computer you plug this into. So very, very cool. If you go next to the noise suppression, you'll see the expander, and this is a lot like a noise gate, except for an expander does it a little bit differently. It will actually be a little bit more natural than a normal noise gate. It makes your microphone sound a lot clearer and doesn't sound like it's being processed very heavily. So I'm talking right now and you see that these waves are going up and down in real time, but you'll notice that this white line, this is where my expander is set to, kind of my gate area, right? And when I drop out or I stop talking, look what happens. It goes quiet, the red areas where it's basically being suppressed to. And then when I talk again, it gradually comes back up into this area where it is coming through, right? And so it's gatekeeping the background noise, except for it's doing it in a way that doesn't make your voice sound unnatural, right? It doesn't cut in and out and things like that. And they represent this through this really cool gradient. When I drop out on my voice, the gradient goes from blue to green to red to orange to green back to blue to show me that it's closing and opening in a more natural way that keeps my voice sounding very, very natural. So the expander is a very cool feature as well. They also have a compressor, which is a lot like any other compressor that you've ever used, except for they added a cool little attenuation feature that will tell you how many decibels of gain you're losing when you're compressing your voice. And then you can go over here and you can add makeup gain according to the attenuation. So however many you're losing here, you can kind of get the average of that over here, boost your mic by that much, and it's a very easy way to see what kind of makeup gain you need to add to your mic. Next to the compressor, you've got the headphones. And guys, the other cool feature about this microphone, on top of all these other, effects and adjustments that you can make, is that the headphone output on this microphone is one of the most robust headphone outputs on any mic ever made. Not only can you adjust, of course, your mic's volume in your ears, you can also adjust the headphone volume. So all of the sound through your computer coming into your headphones, you can adjust that up and down right here. But also next to that, they've added an equalizer. So a very cool feature that they've added where you can actually equalize the output on this mic. Now, on top of the equalization for the headphone output, right next to that, the amp power is another feature that no other USB microphone really has. The amp power basically allows you to pump out more power from this microphone so that you can use high fidelity headphones. So for instance, if you're using some Bear Dynamic DT990 Pros at 250 ohms, then you can actually power those by using the high impedance mode. The fact that this is on here means that you can use really high-end headphones with this microphone and not need to have any type of gain booster or any kind of audio booster for your headphones themselves. Another super high-end feature that they've included in the Beacn Mic. On top of that, you guys, over here to the right-hand side, they have an output gain where if you've done everything else, you can adjust with more gain if you need a little bit more power coming out of the Beacn Mic into your OBS or wherever you're recording to. And then they've got this super cool feature down here, which basically helps you adjust all of these settings. Normally, you'd have to adjust the settings, record yourself, and then listen back to it to see what it sounds like, then adjust again, record again, listen again. It's a really tedious process, but they've made it super easy because now I can record myself. Check this out. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2, checking the mic. And then I can play it back by playing this right here. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2, checking the mic. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2, checking the mic. And this will keep playing over and over again while I make adjustments here, and it will adjust in real time. So it'll actually change the volume and the equalization and everything of the recording based on what you do when you're setting up your mic. So I'm gonna boost the bass enhance all the way up, and you'll hear it boost the bass on the recording as I'm doing it. Check this out. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2, checking the mic. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2, checking the mic. Testing 1 2, testing. Isn't that crazy? So you can listen back in real time and make the adjustments on the fly. It is no problem with the Beacn Mic. Now, on top of all of these features, I also want to show you guys really quickly the fact that they have an entire color meter spectrum for your microphone. So for instance, if you've been looking at my microphone and you've been seeing it react to my voice as I'm talking, that's called their reactive meter mode. And inside the microphone settings right here, the reactive meter mode allows you to light up the whole ring, or you can change it to bar meter up or bar meter down if you want the meters to shoot down or up around the microphone. You can change whatever the first primary color is and secondary colors. So for instance, on mine, I've got it set where when I don't talk, it's red, and then when I do talk, it lights from red to yellow, and it blinks back and forth according to what I'm saying, right? You can also adjust the meter sensitivity, the meter source. So if you want the meter to be bouncing to like music from your headphones or something, or like the voices of people you're listening to, you can adjust that. You can even bump the brightness up, which I'll tell you, when I bump the brightness up, it gets so bright, it actually almost overloads my camera. So I only keep the brightness to about 10. But anyway, they've got that mode. They've also got a solid color. If you just want to change it to solid color and select how bright and what color you want to use. They have a gradient, and the gradient allows it to basically shift between two different colors, which I have here. Of course, the reactive meter mode we talked about. They have one called Sparkle, which is kind of cool. You change it to Sparkle, and it basically just flashes the two colors that you select back and forth in random configurations. And then last but not least, of course, a staple and a must in the RGB world, the Spectrum. And of course, Spectrum is just going through all the colors, basically just like RGB vomit all over you. The beautiful thing that we all love. This is what my keyboards are right now. And it looks good, guys. Look how good that RGB looks. That's a very tasteful way to do RGB. Thank you, Beacn. So there it is right there. You've got all the color options you could ever want on the Beacn microphone, as well as, of course, an entire studio suite of effects and equalization for your Beacn mic. This is one of the most robust USB microphones you're ever gonna see. So now that we've talked about the Beacn mic, I wanna show you guys the Beacn Mix and the Beacn Mix Create. We're gonna start with the Beacn Mix and we'll go from there because the Beacn Mix is kind of the first in its class for audio controllers. This is something that a lot of people are probably gonna pick up because the Beacn Mix allows you to control your audio by turning these knobs here very simply. And then of course, if you wanna mute something, you can just press the knob in and it's gonna mute that thing, and then you press that again and it will allow you to control the audio. This actually controls the audio inputs of anything that's going into your PC. So if you have a single PC setup or you have one PC that you're needing to control all of your audio sources for, that's what this does. And it actually controls the audio sources within Windows itself. So anything that's playing, anything that's going on can be controlled and brought in to one of these four knobs right here. And once you bring it into one of these four knobs, then when you turn it up and down, it's controlling the audio and you will hear it in your headphones in real time. And of course, it will be easy to figure out what level you want to go to because you've got that beautiful number right there in the middle to select as your audio level. So it's the easiest way to do it. But to understand how this fully works, we're gonna jump into the app and take a look at Beacn Mix within their app. So here we are on the Beacn Mix app page, and you can see that there's very simply the four knobs that we were just playing around with. And when I turn the knob up and down, it's adjusting this slider right here. And then of course, if I press the knob in like we did a minute ago, it mutes and unmutes. Now you can see I've already dragged and dropped a few different things up here as my games knob. And so I've put Halo Infinite, New World, and even a Chrome browser under here. And if I were to open any of these up, they would become active, and then I could control their audio from knob number one. If you close down those games or you close down your web browser, then it shows this little disconnect sign right here. But the moment that you start playing audio from your Chrome browser or your game, you open New World and start playing New World, it will reconnect and then you'll be controlling the audio for that particular application. Now, you may ask, okay, well, how do I get audio sources in here? Well, they've made it super easy because down underneath here, they give you all of the recording devices being recognized by your computer, all of the playback devices being recognized by your computer, and then any application that's open and running, as well as other sources over on this side. And so for instance, let's say I want to add Spotify to my Spotify track over here. I can just grab it, drag it, and drop it, and now it's there. If I want to put it over here on knob 4, I can grab it, drag it, drop it, and there it is. It's now assigned to knob 4. On top of that, you can select your listening device right down here, and then of course your headphone volume right here. Now this little switch is pretty cool because you can assign 2 different devices from this drop-down list. So let's say you want to select your headphones as one and then your speakers as the other. You can select both there. Then if you hold in one of these knobs for about a second, it will switch between the 2 listening devices. So when I hold this knob in right here for 2 seconds, you see how that little switch is going back and forth between the two listening devices. That allows me to plug in a pair of speakers into my computer and a pair of headphones, and then I can switch between the 2 audio outputs so that let's say I'm listening and playing games and streaming, and then I'm done and I want to put my headphones up and watch a movie out loud, I can switch to my speakers no problem, and I don't have to unplug anything. This is such a handy feature, you guys. One thing you might note is that, for instance, if you come over here to applications and you don't see Spotify showing up, you need to open Spotify and start playing music from it because sometimes Windows will not recognize it as an audio source until there's actually audio coming from it. So that's a look at the Beacn Mix. It's absolutely awesome, revolutionary for controlling audio. But what if we need to take it a step further? Beacn has come out with the big brother to the Beacn Mix, and that is this guy right here, the Beacn Mix Create. And the Beacn Mix Create is a lot like the Beacn Mix, except for it has some additional functionality and features that is really designed for streamers. You'll notice that, of course, you've got your 4 knobs, but underneath those knobs, you have 4 buttons, and these buttons are your mute buttons. Also, on the other side, you'll see that there's these 2 half circle buttons, so you can actually switch between multiple inputs and outputs of audio sources on the fly while you're streaming. Another very cool feature of the Beacn Mix Create. On top of that, there's one more little button down here, which switches between your mix and your sub mix. So this allows you to do sub mixes, you guys. Yes, it's finally here. It's finally available. Easy sub mixes for streaming. So So I can literally switch between my sub mix and my audience mix on the fly and hear what they're hearing to make sure that everything sounds good. So we're gonna jump back over to the Beacn app, and you can see that I've got the Beacn Mix Create pulled up in the app, and here is what the Beacn Mix Create's basically interface looks like on your computer. You'll notice that each one of the tracks on the Beacn Mix Create is its own double slider track, and basically this is the two different mixes, right? Your mix right here with the little guy in the headphones, and then your audience mix over on this side. And what this allows you to do is actually adjust the volume of what you hear versus what people hear in OBS, right? Or when you're streaming to Twitch or YouTube or one of these places. So for instance, if I keep them linked, I can drag both of these up and down and we're gonna hear the exact same thing. But if I unlink them and I wanna turn something down in my headphones, I can turn this down and this can still be playing to my audience. And when I press that button, these will switch over and whatever's highlighted is what I'm controlling and listening to within the app. So they allow you to switch back and forth there as well. It's a super cool feature and makes things so much easier. The other thing you need to note is that if you have a 2 PC setup, you need to get the Beacn Mix Create, because if you want to have line in and line out running from your gaming PC to your streaming PC and vice versa, you've got to have the Create in order to control those lines. You'll see that underneath the hardware that I've added, I put my line in from my streaming PC so I can hear my alerts going off and things like that. And then I've actually controlled the audio level of my headphones, meaning that I want to hear the alerts a little bit louder in my headphones, but I don't want them to be too loud in OBS, so I turn that down. And because I can link and unlink this, then because that's turned down, if I was to drag this up and down, it actually does a ratio. So it will actually keep these the same percentage or ratio apart from each other. That way, when you start getting to the lower volumes, they're going to start to even out a little bit more and they'll cut out at the same time, rather than being just a massive, like when you get down here, this one cuts out and this one's still playing. So that makes it so much easier and nicer. A cool little attention to detail also that they added into the software and the hardware. Now, another cool thing about this is that on top of that, you can add multiple devices to the Beacn Mix Create. So for instance, I've got my 4 main ones, my mic, my chat, my music, and my system. I've added 2 more hardware inputs, and if I click this little plus over here, I can add another game input and a browser input. Another cool feature that they've added that I want to show you guys is you can lock any of these controls to stay on the screen of the Beacn Mix Create. So I locked my mic and nothing else is locked. Let me show you what that does on the Beacn Mix Create when I scroll through pages. Because I've locked my mic, you can see that my mic is over here on the right side to you guys. If I was to scroll over pages without my mic locked, then you would think, oh, well, it'll disappear, right? But because I've locked it and I switch pages, it keeps my mic over here on the right side. Well, I guess it keeps my mic over here on the left side, your left, my right. It allows me to continue to mute and control my microphone, but it will switch the other 3 sources. So I can keep whatever I want in place and just switch the other sources that I want to be able to swap between. Another couple things I want to mention on the Beacn Mix Create really fast, you guys. You also have, of course, a personal mix and an audience mix. This is what goes out to OBS, and since I have 2 PCs set up, I actually am using my speaker line out and it's going into my streaming PC. And then I'm recording this on my streaming PC, but the Beacn Mic is on my gaming PC. So you guys are actually hearing and seeing me record an entire video with a 2 PC setup using the Beacn Mix Create. This is the entire setup. You're seeing the entire thing in action. You're hearing it in action. And it's working great. I will also show you guys, you do have the option to switch between headphones and speakers by pressing and holding one of the knobs for a second. And then underneath these 2 things, you also have this really cool routing table. And this allows you to select what is sent to each one of your mixes. So for your personal mix, you can select whether you want to have chat, music, system, hardware 1 and 2, which we have set up here. Do you want that to go to your headphones? If so, you keep it check marked. And if not, you just simply click it and it will uncheck mark it and not send it out to your personal mix. Same thing with your audience mix and even your voice chat. Guys, this video has already been way longer than I wanted it to be, but I wanted to give you a fully fledged look at each one of the Beacn products so you can decide which one of these things is going to be the best to add to your setup. If you've already got an XLR microphone or a USB microphone that you really like, you don't have to get the Beacn Mic to use the Beacn Mix or the Beacn Mix Create. And that's what's so cool about these products. They've designed them with you in mind, with me in mind, where whatever our setup is that we prefer, these will complement it rather than having to replace it. If you've already got some other type of audio setup that you really like, but you want more control, get a Beacn Mix. If you've got a 2PC setup, get a Beacn Mix Create. If you want submixes, get the Create. If you need a new microphone system and you want all the features and all the settings and the adaptive noise suppression and things like that, get a Beacn Mic. And if you're looking for an overall setup that's about half the price of what a normal setup with all these features would cost, then you can get one of the mixes with the microphone and you're good to go. So you may be asking, are there any cons or downsides to the Beacn products? And I will tell you, I have not found anything substantial yet. I've been working with Beacn for a little while, taking a look at the products, and they've been very, very, very helpful in going through and answering whatever questions I may have. I'll tell you that setting up the Beacn Mix Create with 2 PCs takes a little bit of time just because I had to learn all the Windows audio things. When you run a line from a gaming PC to a streaming PC and then a streaming PC to a gaming PC, you got to make sure that all of your Realtek audio levels are correct within the PCs so that they sound good with one another. But that's not Beacn's fault. That's literally just how you have to work with computers. And so that wasn't a con towards Beacn. Once I got those set correctly, the Beacn Mix Create handled all of the audio routing and levels perfectly. But other than the Beacn Mix Create needing a little bit more setup because you're running 2 PCs together, these are actually some of the easiest ways to control your audio I've ever seen. And there's a few other things on the market that kind of do this stuff, but not anywhere close to the way Beacn does. Beacn right now is the single best audio control system on the market, bar none. The microphone is the single best USB microphone on the market, bar none. There's nothing else that compares to these 2 devices. In my opinion, if I was recommending a USB mic to somebody, I'm always going to tell them to go with the Beacn Mic if they can swing it. And if not, I would say to go with a Beacn Mix or Beacn Mix Create and whatever USB microphone you want to get, because you'll have a fully fledged system. Best stuff on the market in their class. I highly recommend them. And I've got to tell you guys, I'm extremely impressed with what Beacn has been doing. But I don't want to drag this video out any longer than it's already been. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you found this video helpful and it helped give you the rundown on these products and help you decide whether you want one and what you want to get, hit that thumbs up button for me and get this video out to more people. I would greatly appreciate it. And of course, if you like this video and want to see more content like this, including when I do a deep dive on the Beacn Mic and the Beacn Mix and Mix Create, and we go through like the setup and more features and a little bit more detail, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to know when those videos go live. In addition to that, you can find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/EagleGarrett. I will probably be using the Beacn products live on stream. So if you want to come check them out live, come over there and hang out with us. We'll be playing games, having a good time, and testing out this stuff in real time. And then of course, on top of that, if you'd like to join our Discord, we have a great Discord server and an awesome community at discord.gg/flock. Last but not least, you can find me on all the social medias, Twitter being my #1, so hit me up on those. And with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. I'll hopefully see you in the next video. As always, rock on, peace out, God bless, and last but not least, cacao. So basically, oh man, that's hot. It actually tastes good though. It actually tastes good. It's like you can feel it like back here, like you know, like when like whenever you light your tongue on fire and you just let it burn for a little while. You guys know what I'm talking about? It feels exactly like that. Yeah. Oh yeah. Woo, am I pink a little bit? I don't know if you can tell, but my eyes are watering. I will tell you, it matches my shirt. I will tell you though, guys, I am a spicy lover, and as hot as it is, I kind of like it. Is that like a bad thing? I kind of like it. I mean, it's really spicy.